A widower gives a ride to a fugitive bride, not knowing her ex is a dangerous millionaire. James sat behind the counter of his little bookstore, the cold autumn night creeping in through the cracked window pane. The amber streetlights outside flickered, painting the empty main street in shadows that danced with the swirling leaves. The town was quiet, too quiet. James liked it that way. Quiet suited him. It had for a long time, ever since Mary died. The silence around him felt safer than the noise of the world, safer than the ache in his chest. That night, something broke his routine. The bell above the door jingled sharply. James looked up. A woman stood there, eyes wide with panic. Her coat was soaked through, hair plastered to her face, and she was trembling like a leaf caught in a storm. She didn't ask for help. She pleaded. Her voice cracked. "Please, I need a ride, away from the city, away from him." James felt his throat tighten. Always the quiet one, now suddenly thrown into a whirlwind. He didn't recognize the woman, or at least, he thought he didn't. But there was something in the frantic way she glanced over her shoulder, the desperate grip on her shoulder bag, that ignited a spark of concern deep inside him. She said her name was Lily, and before he could say no, before his heart could catch up with his mind, he nodded. "Yeah, I can take you, anywhere you want." Outside, the leaves rustled louder. The streetlight swayed. Lily's hands shook as she climbed into his beaten-up pickup truck. James started the engine, feeling the tension coil tighter in his belly. He didn't know, then, that Lily was running from a man who wasn't just dangerous, he was dark and ruthless, a billionaire whose shadow stretched across cities and lives like a poison. This wasn't just a woman on the run. This was a hunted bride, fleeing a nightmare others whispered about at cocktail parties and in newsrooms, but never dared to speak aloud. As they pulled away from the sleepy town, Lily's silence screamed louder than words. Her eyes told stories of fear, regret, and something deeper, pain as raw as James's own. The road ahead twisted into darkness. With every mile, danger crept closer. So silent, it could snap the life out of them both. James watched her closely, his heart pounding harder than it had in years. Who was this woman? Why did her desperation grip him like a vice? What secrets did the night hide in the cold wind? Then, without warning, his phone buzzed with a message. The screen glowed, revealing words that made his blood freeze. "You can't hide her, not from me." That's when James knew this ride was no simple favor. The stakes were much higher. The shadows chasing Lily were darker than any he'd imagined. And now, caught in this storm, he had to decide how far he'd go, to protect a stranger who might just save him too. What's waiting for them down this lonely road? And can anyone escape a past so deadly that even the night seems afraid? Hey, before we continue with this incredible story, I need to give you an important warning. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube removed their subscriptions without notice. Just take a quick look at the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I don't want you to miss any exclusive content coming up. And since you're here, smash that like button because it really helps me with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who is part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's interact. James's heart hammered in his chest as the chilling message lit up his phone. His grip on the wheel tightened. "You can't hide her. Not from me." Fear twisted in his gut. The words felt like a whisper of doom, a shadow creeping closer, threatening to engulf them. He glanced sideways at Lily, her ashen face illuminated by the dashboard lights. She was staring out the window, lost in a world of her own thoughts, or maybe a monster from her past. "What is it?" she asked suddenly, breaking the tension. Her voice was raw, edged with the sharpness of panic. James swallowed hard, deciding how much to reveal. "Just a message." He hesitated, then added, "Someone knows you're with me." Her eyes widened, the fear spilling over like a broken dam. "You have to turn back," she whispered. "It's not safe." But in her voice, James heard more than fear. He heard the weight of hidden truths, secrets that lingered like smoke in the air. But before he could respond, the road dipped into darkness, and a pair of headlights appeared in the rearview mirror. James's pulse quickened. The car behind them wasn't just any car. It felt like it was hunting them. "That's him," Lily gasped, her trembling hands clenching the edge of her seat. I can't go back." James's mind raced. "Hold on." He slammed on the gas, the engine roaring defiantly. The pickup lurched forward, but the other car followed, its headlights blinding in the mirror. Panic surged through him. "James, you have to." "Lose him," Lily urged, panic threading through her words. "He won't stop until he finds me. Where do I go?" He veered right onto an old, less-traveled road, the tires skidding on gravel. The world outside turned into a blur of darkness and trees. But then a sudden realization hit him. Before he could process it, he heard a strange noise from the back seat. A muffled sound that made his blood run cold. "Wait, what's in your bag?" he asked, his grip on the wheel faltering. Lily's eyes widened. "Nothing, just some clothes." James squinted into the rearview mirror, but before he could say more, the other car shot past, flying ahead to cut them off. Desperation bubbled in him. "I won't let them take you," he shouted, heart racing. As the rival vehicle slammed to a stop, James barely registered a shadow moving behind him. A loud thud shook the cabin. He turned, and his eyes nearly popped from their sockets. Emerging from the darkness was a man, tall, imposing, dressed in black, his face obscured by the night. But it wasn't any stranger. "Lily," the man roared, his voice cutting through the tension like glass. "You didn't think you could escape me?" A shudder ran through James at the recognition. This man, this was not just any dangerous millionaire. This was Lily's ex, a man whose ruthlessness was known even to people in towns far away. But then Lily gasped, her face paling. "No, it can't be." The fight drained from her eyes, and her voice trembled with disbelief. "Daniel, you're supposed to be in prison." The revelation hit James like a cannonball. He stared at the two of them, the growing chasm of truth between them, unraveling the threads of what he thought he knew. The tension hung thick in the air. James couldn't breathe. Lily wasn't just running from a billionaire. She was running from a monster who didn't just claim riches, but wielded a twisted grip on fate itself. Everything flipped. James's trust felt violated, and he was caught in the middle of a deadly game that had no rules. The road ahead became a tangled web of confusion and fear. "Get out of the car," Daniel yelled, his eyes burning with fury. But what would happen next? Would Lily choose to confront her past, or would she drag James down with her into the abyss? The answers lay heavy in the silence that followed, and nothing seemed certain anymore. James gripped the steering wheel harder, unsure of where to turn next, knowing now that nothing would ever be the same again. What had he gotten himself into? James's grip tightened around the steering wheel as he stared into the darkness where Daniel stood. That imposing figure. Fear twisted deep in his gut. He could barely breathe. "Get out of the car," Daniel barked, each word sharp as glass. "What do I do?" James breathed, looking to Lily. Her gaze darted from Daniel to him, pleading, desperate. "Drive, don't stop." The weight of the moment smothered him. But instinct kicked in. He slammed the truck in reverse, tires screeching on gravel. Daniel's silhouette loomed closer, his face twisted with rage. But behind the fury, something flickered. A hint of control. Lily's eyes widened. "He's a monster, James. If you stop, he will kill you." But before James could hit the gas, a loud thud landed against the truck's side, rattling the frame. He jerked around. A black SUV had blocked their path. More figures spilling out like shadows. Their faces eerily calm and shrouded in darkness. "Daniel," one shouted, his voice haunting against the whistling wind. "We've got her." "Lily." Daniel's voice sliced through the air again, the desperation now mixed with something else. Cold calculation. Come with me. You don't have to. Do this. We can figure it out. James felt the heat of urgency pulse through him. This wasn't just a man begging. This was a predator. The air thickened with something dangerous. He had to act, and fast. Hold on. He shifted the truck into gear, the engine growling like an angry beast. He slammed the accelerator, the tire spinning out of control. The truck whipped around, and the headlights caught Daniel's face in a flickering glow, wild, feral. But before he could gain distance, a flash of something caught his eye, a figure slipping out from the SUV, a woman, young, with piercing blue eyes and a face that looked eerily familiar. His heart raced as recognition slashed through the madness. Wait, that can't be. It was Marissa, Daniel's sister, a name that floated through whispers in the town, the black sheep of the family, the one who had once disappeared under shrouded circumstances. She was supposed to be gone for good. The stories had drifted like smoke. Marissa? Lily's voice shook, the ancient threads of family pulling taut, confusion flooding her features. What are you doing here? James's heart stuttered. You knew? But Marissa's response cut through the chaos. You don't understand. I'm not here for Daniel, she shouted, her voice raw. I've come to get you. Lily's breath hitched, the breath of hope wrapping tightly around despair. Why? Why would you help me? Because it's the only way to stop him. Marissa's voice trembled, urgency in her every word. Daniel's not who he seems. There's something you don't know. And suddenly, everything shifted. All his instincts told him to trust her, but something deep inside James screamed otherwise. As fear clawed at him, Marissa stepped forward, her eyes blazing. You need to listen to me. There's a reason Daniel is hunting you. He's not just a man. He's a monster in disguise. James's heart raced. Questions spiraled in his mind. How did she fit in this twisted puzzle? Why had she come now? Was Daniel really the one hunting them, or was something deeper at play? Daniel's voice thundered behind them as he broke through the encircling darkness, the sound of footsteps growing closer. Don't listen to her. She's lying. We have to end this now. The very air around them crackled with tension, the confrontation at a tipping point, truths lurking in the shadows, waiting to unfold. And in that climactic moment, everything changed. But what could Marissa reveal? As the night pressed in on them, all James could think was that they were teetering on the edge of unknown horrors, and if he didn't act fast, they might all be swallowed whole. Who was the real monster here? Would he choose to trust a stranger in the dark, or betray the one person who had sparked something inside him after so long? Heart pounding, he opened his mouth to speak, but the words faded in his throat. What now? James's grip tightened around the steering wheel as he stared into the darkness where Daniel stood, an imposing figure looming over them. Fear twisted deep in his gut. He could barely breathe. Get out of the car, Daniel barked, each word sharp as glass. What do I do? James breathed, looking to Lily. Her gaze darted from Daniel to him, pleading, desperate. Drive, don't stop. Instinct kicked in. He slammed the truck in reverse, tires screeching on gravel. Daniel's silhouette loomed closer, rage radiating from him like heat from a fire. I won't let him take you, James shouted, adrenaline surging through him. Before he could gain distance, a loud thud landed against the truck's side, rattling the frame. He jerked around. A black SUV had blocked their path, figures spilling out like shadows. There, faces eerily calm and shrouded in darkness. Daniel, one shouted, voice haunting against the wind. We've got her. James felt the urgency pulse through him. We have to go, he shouted. But then, a flash of something caught his eye. A figure slipping out from the SUV. A woman, young, with piercing blue eyes. His heart raced as recognition sliced through the madness. Wait, that can't be. It was Marissa, Daniel's sister. Her name had drifted through the town like fire smoke in the air. She was supposed to be gone for good. The stories hinted at dark secrets and Jean left behind. But now, here she was, alive and real. Marissa, Lily's voice shook, confusion flooding her features. What are you doing here? James's heart stuttered. You knew? But before Marissa could respond, Daniel's voice thundered behind them. "Don't listen to her. She's lying. We have to end this now." "Get back!" James shouted, adrenaline taking over as he pressed his foot on the gas. The truck lurched forward, engines roaring, but the night spun wildly around them, and chaos closed in fast. Suddenly, a blinding light filled the air from the direction of the SUV. In the next heartbeat, sirens blared, loud and unforgiving. Red and blue lights flashed, illuminating the faces of Daniel's followers, startling them into stillness. The police? James could hardly believe his eyes, but there they were, surrounding them. He felt a moment of hope blooming, but it quickly twisted as Marissa shouted, "No, don't let them take me." "What?" Lily gasped, fear flooding her eyes once more. Her hands trembled even harder now. "Why? I've been trying to get away from him," Marissa cried, her voice raw and desperate. "He's not just my brother. He's involved in everything strange that's happened around here. The disappearances, the rumors, were part of something far darker than you realize." Daniel's expression twisted into fury as he unleashed a roar. "Shut up! You will not ruin this!" Just then an officer approached, hands raised cautiously. "Ma'am, step away from the vehicle. We have a warrant for your arrest." Marissa's eyes flared wide, more panic flooding her features. "No, they're not here for me." "What do you mean?" James's gut twisted, confusion turning to dread within seconds. But then the words fell like steel. "They think I killed him." James's heart dropped. "Killed who?" In that frozen moment, the world around them blurred, as Marissa released a heavy revelation that shattered the fragile tension. "Daniel's the one they're really after. He's been trafficking women. I only escaped when he was arrested, but he was set free. He's been hunting me ever since." A gun was drawn, aiming straight at Marissa. "Get away from her," James shouted, his voice cracking. The silence shattered with a sudden bang. Glass exploded, followed by a haunting scream, a sound that ripped through the air, turning everything upside down. Panic erupted. In the chaos, James saw everything unravel. A flash of dark. Daniel lunged at Marissa, but before he could reach her, he collapsed, a bullet in his side. Shock blasted through the air. In that instant, the truth twisted and turned. Daniel wasn't just wealthy and powerful. He was vindictive and ruthless. And Marissa? She wasn't just another pawn. She was the key to unraveling everything. Her struggle for freedom was deeper and darker than anyone had imagined. And as Lily turned to James, tears glazed in her eyes. They shared the realization. Everything they knew was a lie. The night dragged them through a web of deception, and the looming question pulsed in their veins. How far would they go to escape the nightmare that had just begun? The loud bang rang through the night, shattering the fragile tranquility, and chaos erupted in the air. James couldn't breathe. The weight of the moment pressed down as he stared at Daniel crumpling to the ground like a marionette with snapped strings. Shock pulsed through him, a dark wave of disbelief blending with the adrenaline still coursing through his veins. "James," Lily's voice pierced through the noise, but her panic was overshadowed by the moment's chaos. Marissa stood behind them, breathless, her eyes wide as she took in the scene. "What happened?" James barely managed to mutter. "What the hell was this?" Lily turned to him, desperation etched deep in her features. "We have to go, now!" But before he could react, a piercing scream sliced through the night. A woman's voice, shrill and full of terror. Turning, James's heart plummeted. It came from the black SUV. Shadows shifted, and suddenly, two figures, sharp and menacing, emerged, striding purposefully towards them. "Get in the truck," Marissa shouted. "We don't have time." James glanced back at Daniel, sprawled on the ground, one hand clutching his side, blood pooling like dark ink beneath him. It felt surreal. Was he dead? Was this really happening? But the crunch of gravel under heavy boots snapped him back. "Help! Please, help me!" A frantic voice was coming from the SUV. A young woman, bound and gagged, writhing in the back seat, the fear in her eyes reflecting his own. "What? Who is she?" he stammered, the world spinning faster. Lily turned back, her face pale as she grasped the truth. "We can't save everyone, James. They're coming for us." And then it hit him like a punch to the gut. "Wait, the police." "Forget the police, they're too late," Marissa yelled, urgency seeping from her every word. "Trust me." James hesitated. Trust? What did that even mean now? The situation was spiraling out of control, and Daniel's face twisted in fury play on loop in his mind. They were trapped, surrounded. Lily's grip tightened on his arm. "James, please." Another voice drew his attention, softer and more familiar. "James, it's me." His heart over him. Was he losing his mind? "Mary," he gasped, confusion choking him. You're not dead," she whispered, her voice bittersweet. "But you need to listen to me. The truth is more complicated than you know." Suddenly, all eyes were on her, shock pouring into every face. Before he could process her claim, a loud siren blared once more. Red and blue lights flared to life around them, illuminating the chaos unfolding on the darkened gravel. "Get down," someone shouted. But it was too late. Just as James opened his mouth to respond, a loud explosion rocked the night. Flames erupted from the SUV, consuming the vehicle in seconds. Lights fizzled, glass shattered, and panic escalated. In that moment, everything transformed. Lily screamed as they were thrown back. The force of the blast knocked everyone off their feet. The flames lit up the area, revealing terrified faces and lay bare the unspeakable horrors tangled in the dark. As the smoke filled the air, James blinked through the haze. His heart raced. How had everything spiraled so violently? What was real and what wasn't? He looked at Mary, confusion swirling in his mind, but her face shifted into something darker, something more menacing. "James, the truth isn't what you think," she said again, her voice now low and haunting. "You have to make a choice. You don't know what's at stake." "Choose what?" His voice barely came through the chaos around them. "What are you talking about?" But as the tension reached its peak, Daniel rose slowly, blood streaming down his side, alive and seething with rage, caught in the fiery glow. "You chose wrong, James," he spat, and in that moment, everything shattered again. The lines between ally and enemy blurred, and the night stretched into a vast abyss of uncertainty. Every question thrummed in his chest, screaming for answers. But who could he trust? Could he even trust himself anymore? And then, as another deafening shot rang out, something deep within him shifted. Something dark and unknown began to awaken. What had he really gotten into? What did the truth mean in a world burning like this? James's heart raced, and he couldn't help but wonder, would he survive the night, or would it consume him whole? James's heart raced. In his chest, the entire world around him blurring in a chaos of flashing lights and shouts. Daniel lay on the ground, blood pooling beneath him, rage morphing into pain. The sound of sirens drowned out everything else, the screams and confusion, weaving a cord of frantic urgency around them. "I have to get you to safety," James shouted over the din, his voice hoarse as he tried to make sense of it all. Fear clawed at his throat, but there wasn't time to second-guess himself. "Get in!" he yelled to Marissa, who was still staring at the chaos unfolding. But she hesitated, her eyes darting over Daniel's crumpling figure, lost in a moment of disbelief. "We can't leave him like this, James. He's dangerous," Lily yelled, shaking him back into focus. "We can't trust him." And just as James moved to grab Marissa's arm, another explosion of sound erupted from behind them. It was a volley of gunfire. Sharp, quick, brutal. Instinct kicked in and he ducked, pulling Lily down with him. But Marissa stood frozen, eyes locked on Daniel. "Get down!" James shouted. But before he could reach her, a body launched from the shadows, tackling Marissa down to the ground just as a bullet whizzed by where she had been standing moments before. It was a rush of dark fury. Daniel's men had joined the fray. But it wasn't just their silhouettes charging into the night. Jane's chest tightened when he realized who the closest figure was. A woman, familiar, yet unexpected. "Mom?" The word slipped from his lips like a prayer, disbelief clawing at the edges of his mind. "James, get away from her!" His mother's voice rang out like a siren, filled with authority but shaken with urgency. It was too much. Reality crushed down like a weight. "What are you doing here?" he gasped, confusion tumbling out as he glanced between Lily, Marissa, and the chaos unfolding. "Running like you," she shouted, scrambling toward him, her eyes wide. "But you need to focus. Daniel's far more dangerous than you think." Every muscle in James's body froze at the revelation. She had just called Daniel by name, like it meant something to her. "You know him?" But before she could answer, Daniel let out a roar, his voice laced with authority and anger. "You never learned to stay out of family business, did you?" An icy horror washed over him as he finally saw it. All the pieces of the puzzle jammed into a horrid picture. Family. Lily's breath hitched, her wide eyes darting between James and his mother. What does that mean? But then in a gut-wrenching twist, James's mother stepped forward, lifting her chin defiantly. "I'm not just your mother," she said, voice steady despite the chaos. "I'm your mother-in-law, through marriage to Daniel." The world staggered around him. Time didn't just freeze. It collided into 1,000 fragments. In a moment, everything he thought he understood unraveled like a cheap thread. "No, that can't be. Just trust me," she yelled as Daniel scrambled to his feet, blood still seeping through his fingers. "We can't stay here." James felt like he was falling through the void. The realization slammed into him. The woman in front of him was connected to the worst nightmare he'd ever encountered, yet she was still his lifeline. "You were with him all this time?" But her gaze hardened, a resolve flickering beneath the frantic surface. "I was trying to protect you from your destiny, but it's too late for that now. Mom, But the words fell away, lost in the chaos. As bullets flew, the air crackled with tension. His mother lunged for him, her eyes fierce. James was left there, grasping for any sense of reality in a world that had spun too far out of control. Just as everything within him cried out to flee, Daniel's cruel grin returned, wicked and triumphant. "Now the truth comes out, doesn't it, James?" he sneered. "We're not just playing a game anymore. You have to choose, family or freedom." The words hung heavy in the air, a chilling challenge that left James gasping for breath. How could this be happening? What did it all mean? And now who would he choose to fight for? In that moment, everything shifted. The stakes soared higher than he ever imagined, reality twisting beneath his feet like a churning tide of dark secrets and shattered loyalties. The night wasn't just changing around him. It had become a living nightmare. Questions whirled through his mind, desperately grasping at threads of hope, as he faced down a future he could barely comprehend. What had he really gotten into? And as another shot echoed in the thick air, he knew he might just lose everything he had fought to protect. James stood frozen, the chaos swirling around him. Daniel's taunts collided with the ringing urgency of sirens, while memories of Mary flickered in the smoke, ghostly echoes that turned his insides to lead. "You have to choose, family or freedom," the words echoed in his ears, a weight that pressed down harder than any wound. But just as he prepared to muster an answer, a flare of light shot across the night. A beam bright and blinding surged toward them. James shielded his eyes, heart pounding. Then, boom, like thunder from above, the ground shook. A shockwave knocked them all off their feet, sending gravel flying and screams into the air. Lily and Marissa were thrown to the side, colliding against the truck. "James!" Lily shouted, panic twisting her voice. But he couldn't look away from the swirling smoke, the air turning acrid, thick with the scent of burning rubber and something more sinister. When he glanced back, the figure, draped in darkness, emerged from the shadows, just ahead where the light had come from, a silhouette tall and haphazard, taking slow, deliberate steps. The brightness danced off his face, revealing cold eyes, wide and piercing. The face James recognized from the news, from the whispers in town. "Zachary?" he breathed, the name feeling like a curse on his tongue. Lily blinked, caught between confusion and horror. "Zachary? Who's that?" But the man took another step forward, a smirk twisting his lips. Surprised to see me, James? It's funny, really, how small this world is. Everything went numb. Zachary was Daniel's accomplice, a criminal mastermind whose name chilled people to the bone. He wasn't supposed to be here. Not after what had happened all those years ago. You should have stayed dead, James croaked, his mind racing. We all thought you were dead? Oh no, just playing dead, Zachary spat, a glint of malice in his eyes. You think Daniel's the worst? I'm just getting started. Before James could process this revelation, the air shifted again. Marissa, shaking and teetering on her feet, clenched her fists. You don't belong here, Zachary, she shouted, voice rising against the chaos. You think you can control everything? You're a pathetic coward. Everything froze. The tension was so thick that James could almost hear a heartbeat. Then Lily gasped, her eyes darting between Marissa and Zachary, clarity washing over her. You're both related? Half-brothers, Zachary confirmed, his voice dripping with contempt. Mom's dirty little secret. It's hilarious, isn't it? The weight of that truth hung between them, unraveling what little sanity remained. James's breath caught, his heart thundering in his chest. He turned to Marissa, seeking answers, but saw only fear reflected back. How could you? James, Lily cried, pulling him from his spiraling thoughts. But in that moment Daniel roared back to life, the pain igniting. A fire in his gaze. No, this wasn't supposed to happen. Amidst the mounting chaos, Zachary laughed, a twisted sound that echoed through the night. Too late, brother. The family reunion is just beginning and you're all invited. With a sudden movement, he lunged forward, his gloved hand reaching for something at his belt. Something metallic. Time slowed for James. Every instinct screamed to act. Get down, he yelled. But it was too late. In a flash, a gunshot rang out, cutting through the night like a knife. The world erupted again, flashes of light, fear, and confusion. Everything shattered and burst. But then, amid the chaos, another figure stepped into the glow of the firelight. The last person James expected to see. Stop, she shouted, voice commanding. Above the madness, it was his mother. Mom, he yelled, his blood running cold. Get away from him, all of you, she bellowed, her eyes wild with desperation. Shock jolted through him. She stood as a guardian, a shield in the whirlwind, and he knew. Everything he thought he knew was just the surface of an ocean of darkness. What was going on? Why was his mother here? What had he missed all these years? Just when he thought he could piece it together, everything erupted again, and all he felt was chaos consuming him whole. Was this just the beginning, or had they all flown too close to the sun? As the darkness closed in, one question lingered in the air. Whom could he trust when? Every bond felt like a trap. James stood frozen, the chaos swirling around him. Daniel's taunts collided with the ringing urgency of sirens, while memories of Mary flickered in the smoke, ghostly echoes turning his insides to lead. You have to choose. Family or freedom. The words echoed in his ears, a weight pressing down harder than any wound. But just as he prepared to muster an answer, a flare of light shot across the night. A beam, bright and blinding, surged toward them. James shielded his eyes, heart pounding. Then, boom! Like thunder from above, the ground shook. A shock wave knocked them all off their feet, sending gravel flying and screams into the air. Lily and Marissa were thrown to the side as James lost his balance. Sprawling against the truck, the heat enveloped him like a furnace, flames licking the air above them, casting eerie shadows that curled and twisted away. He blinked rapidly, disoriented, attempting to gather his thoughts amid the cacophony of destruction. Then he saw her, the ghostly figure in the firelight, Mary. Her expression was both familiar and foreign, a mix of anger and fear that made his heart skip. James, listen to me, she shouted, her voice breaking through the chaos like a lifeline. Mom, what are you doing here? He gasped, scrambling to his feet, confusion flooding his mind. Could he trust her? Could he trust anyone? But before James could process her presence, the ground trembled again. Get down, his mother shouted, more urgency crashing through her voice. She lunged, pulling him close as more gunfire erupted, but something in her grip felt wrong. Unyielding, forceful. A flicker of doubt crossed his mind. "Mom, just do as I say," she yelled, eyes darting to where Daniel lay. But then, everything shifted. A piercing, unnatural scream cut through the chaos. It came from Marissa. "No," she cried, her hands clutching her head, staggering backward. "Stop. It's not true. You're not my mother." James felt his heart drop into the abyss of confusion. "What do you mean?" he blurted out. The tension thickened. The words hung heavy in the air. For just a beat, silence fell, only the crackle of flames disturbing the night. "You're not real," Marissa screamed, eyes bulging in horror. "Mom is dead. You're an imposter." James's mind swirled like a storm. "What?" he stammered. The world folded in on itself in that moment. Mary's expression flickered, confusion clouding her features for just a heartbeat, before intensifying into something more menacing. "You shouldn't have brought her, James. She doesn't understand." "What are you talking about?" Panic surged. James's heart raced. "This is insane." Marissa's face twisted in despair, as if the realization was tearing her apart. "No, you can't control me. You're not my mother. You're something else." In that split second, James saw it. The flicker in Mary's eyes turned cold, calculated. The warmth of a mother melted away into a different creature entirely. She stepped forward, her voice dripping with venom. "Oh dear, you should really learn not to trust too easily." In that instant, everything flipped. The woman he loved, the one whose embrace brought him comfort through years of loss, changed into a figure of dread. "What are you?" he breathed, the truth striking like a lightning bolt. Then, the flames behind Mary revealed something more. Folds of dark fabric, something shimmering at her side. A weapon? But before he could react, Daniel staggered to his feet, blood still seeping from his wound. He grinned wickedly, clearly reveling in the chaos. "You've played your part perfectly, sister," he said, laughter bubbling beneath his words. "I always knew you were the clever one." James's mind raced. Brother? Sister? All this time, caught in a web of lies, he had no idea the true nature of their ties. The ground shifted beneath them, the boundaries of family warped, reality unspooled like old yarn. "James!" Lily's voice. She reached for him, but was pulled back by Marissa, who seemed to regain her cunning. "We have to fight back together," she yelled, determination igniting her features. But how could they fight against something that wore the faces of the people he trusted most? Was there any hope now? Everyone had morphed into adversaries, and the line of loyalty blurred like smoke in the air. James's heart thundered as Mary's chilling laugh echoed in his ears, tainting everything he had believed. "You think you can escape?" she slithered, eyes narrowing. "This is just the beginning." As Daniel regrouped, darkness draped over them. Swallowing the last glimmers of hope, James wrestled with despair and determination. Which way was forward? And as another explosion rocked the night, he realized that nothing would ever be the same again. What were they truly fighting? And in the ever-deepening shadows, who could he trust to survive this nightmare? James stood frozen, the chaos swirling around him. Daniel's taunts collided with the ringing urgency of sirens, while memories of Mary flickered in the smoke, ghostly echoes turning his insides to lead. "You have to choose, family or freedom." The words echoed in his ears, a weight pressing down harder than any wound. But just as he prepared to muster an answer, a flare of light shot across the night. A beam, bright and blinding, surged toward them. James shielded his eyes, heart pounding. Then, boom! Like thunder from above, the ground shook. A shockwave knocked them all off their feet, sending gravel flying and screams into the air. Lily and Marissa were thrown to the side as James lost his balance, sprawling against the truck. The heat enveloped him like a furnace, flames licking the air above them. casting eerie shadows that curled and twisted away. He blinked rapidly, disoriented, attempting to gather his thoughts amid the cacophony of destruction. Then he saw her, the ghostly figure in the firelight. Mary. Her expression was both familiar and foreign, a mix of anger and fear that made his heart skip. "James, listen to me," she shouted, her voice breaking through the chaos like a lifeline. "Mom, what are you doing here?" he gasped, scrambling to his feet, confusion flooding his mind. Could he trust her? Could he trust anyone? But before James could process her presence, the ground trembled again. "Get down," his mother shouted, more urgency crashing through her voice. She lunged, pulling him close as more gunfire erupted. But something in her grip felt wrong. Unyielding, forceful, a flicker of doubt crossed his mind. "Mom, just do as I say," she yelled, eyes darting to where Daniel lay. But then everything shifted. A piercing, unnatural scream cut through the chaos. It came from Marissa. "No," she cried, her hands clutching her head, staggering backward. "Stop. It's not true. You're not my mother." James felt his heart drop into the abyss of confusion. "What do you mean?" he blurted out. The tension thickened, the words hung heavy in the air. For just a beat, silence fell, only the crackle of flames disturbing the night. "You're not real," Marissa screamed, eyes bulging in horror. "Mom is dead. You're an imposter." James's mind swirled like a storm. "What?" he stammered. The world folded in on itself in that moment. Mary's expression flickered, confusion clouding her features for just a heartbeat, before intensifying into something more menacing. She stepped forward, her voice dripping with venom. "You shouldn't have brought her, James. She doesn't understand." "What are you talking about?" Panic surged. James's heart raced. "This is insane." Marissa's face twisted in despair, as if the realization was tearing her apart. "No, you can't control me. You're not my mother. You're something else." In that split second, James saw it. The flicker in Mary's eyes turned cold, calculated. The warmth of a mother melted away into a different creature entirely. She stepped forward, her voice dripping with venom. "Oh dear, you should really learn not to trust too easily." In that instant, everything flipped. The woman he loved, the one whose embrace brought him comfort through years of loss, changed into a figure of dread. "What are you?" he breathed, the truth striking like a lightning bolt. Then, the flames behind Mary revealed something more. Folds of dark fabric, something shimmering at her side. A weapon? But before he could react, Daniel staggered to his feet, blood still seeping from his wound. He grinned wickedly, clearly reveling in the chaos. "You've played your part perfectly, sister," he said, laughter bubbling beneath his words. "I always knew you were the clever one." James's mind raced. Brother, sister. All this time, caught in a web of lies, he had no idea the true nature of their ties. The ground shifted beneath them, the boundaries of family warped, reality unspooled like old yarn. "James," Lily's voice. She reached for him, but was pulled back by Marissa, who seemed to regain her cunning. "We have to fight back together," she yelled, determination igniting her features. But how could they fight against something that wore the faces of the people he trusted most? Was there any hope now? Everyone had morphed into adversaries, and the line of loyalty blurred like smoke in the air. James's heart thundered as Mary's chilling laugh echoed in his ears, tainting everything he had believed. "You think you can escape?" she slithered, eyes narrowing. "This is just the beginning." As Daniel regrouped, darkness draped over them, swallowing the last glimmers of hope. James wrestled with despair and determination. Which way was forward? And as another explosion rocked the night, he realized that nothing would ever be the same again. What were they truly fighting? And in the ever-deepening shadows, who could he trust to survive this nightmare? In a moment of clarity, he was jolted by an unexpected shout from the vehicle just off to the side. "You think you know everything, but you don't," a voice echoed deeper and sound familiar. The door swung open, and from the smoke, a figure emerged, one he never anticipated to see. But when he did, It sent a shockwave through him. It was his father. "I've been trying to protect you. The truth about your family is darker than you realize." With that revelation, James felt the ground slip from beneath him once more. How much more turmoil lay ahead? And as the chaos thickened, one question loomed larger than all else. Was any of it real? James felt his heart race as he took in the sight of his father standing before him, a figure from a past he thought long buried. "Dad," he whispered, disbelief choking him. Whatever levity remained in the chaos surrounding them shattered. Mary, the woman he had loved and longed for, was now something indistinct and sinister, wrapped in darkness, her laughter resonating chillingly in the air as she confronted him. "Just going to let some brat ruin everything?" she sneered. "Family is everything, even if it's rotten to the core." "No!" James felt his throat tighten. "I won't let you destroy more lives." Marissa's hand found his arm, steady and unyielding. "James, we need a plan." Her wide eyes flickered toward Daniel, who was scrambling up with malevolent determination. "Your mother was nothing but a ghost," Daniel spat, tugging at James's conscience. "You think this is real? You're the joke." Amidst the noise, James felt two things colliding within him: the desperate need for family and the resolute desire to protect those he loved. His chest heaved as he turned to his father, urgency igniting his heart. "You know the truth, Dad. What do we do?" For a heartbeat, the air thickened, suspense tightening around them. James could see the worry etched on his father's face, the years of silence crumbling in this moment of truth. "The only way to end the madness is to expose them," his father responded, his deep voice breaking the chaos. "But it will endanger everything." The flames crackled louder, illuminating the choice ahead. James faced Daniel, a man twisted by greed and cruelty. "No more hiding," he shouted, fists clenched, the courage of conviction surging within him. "This ends now." As Daniel lunged forward, something clicked inside James. Everything sharpened, every fear, every moment of pain. He wasn't a victim anymore. He was a survivor. "Now," James yelled, rallying everyone. "Together!" With a surge of energy, they rushed forward. The sweltering heat of the flames behind them ignited their resolve. Marissa and Lily stayed close, their trust electrifying the air around them. In a desperate bid, James grabbed a nearby metal pipe and swung it towards Daniel as a shot rang out, the crack echoing. "Lily, Marissa, move!" Daniel staggered back, pain etched across his face. "You've made a mistake, boy," he barked, but his voice wavered, revealing cracks in the facade he had built around himself. James could feel the shifting tide, a sense of impending victory mingled with the adrenaline racing through him. He glanced back at his father, who stood firm, holding up his phone, showing the flashing lights of oncoming police just beyond the horizon. "Let them come," Daniel shouted, blood staining his side. "They won't save you." But the call of sirens grew louder, everything converging, the long night of secrets culminating in this chaotic moment. "We're done hiding," James declared, fury fueling every syllable. The light of the flashing police cars punctuated the chaos. The promise of safety, the way out. Daniel's remaining allies turned in panic, fear wrapping around them like tendrils of smoke. With the officers arriving, the world spun toward clarity. In a final act of despair, Daniel attempted to escape, but Marissa lunged, capturing the darkness within him. "You don't control us anymore. You've lost." As handcuffs clicked around Daniel's wrists, James finally breathed, relief washing over him. The night began to clear, dawn's light peeking through the chaos. James turned to Marissa and Lily, their faces painted with the raw emotion of everything they had survived. "We're safe now. We can build." And as the morning sun broke, it cast new light on their bonds, primal and unshakable. For the first time, James felt hope. Longing for healing, they would confront the shadows together, forging a new path forward, hand in hand. "Thank you," James whispered to Marissa and Lily, tears threatening to spill. "For being here, for believing." As police processed the scene, the truth unraveled in the morning light. Families might be complicated, but there was a chance to rise above it all. In that moment, they were more than just survivors. They were warriors, together. And now, if you followed this incredible journey, you have to subscribe right now. Don't miss a single moment of the next exclusive stories that are coming your way. Spread the word about this adventure. Smash the like button right now to fuel the algorithm and show your support. Flood the comments section with your thoughts and theories about this shocking ending, because I want to know what you think. And don't wait even one more second to share this with at least 5 friends who need to see how this ends. Stand with us. Join the community and let's embark on the next chapter together.